Hi, you guys. It's Leanne Holitza here at the Healing Studio, and today we're here with one of our healers, Crystal George. Hi, Crystal.
Hi. Hi,
um,
Lena.
so I see some of you are doing the me please, thank you, and we're not doing that right now. That's on Sunday. But instead, today we are actually going to talk about Crystal's business and healing techniques. If you have questions about her work or about energy healing in general, feel free to type in the comments while we're watching, or you can ask those questions later as well. Um, but Crystal's one of our healers here. Her office is not officially here, but she teaches classes for us. She does work with a lot of our clients here, with animal communication and that kind of stuff. And also she's worked with me to learn energy awareness. So there's a lot of things that she does that benefit the healing community as a greater. So I wanted to introduce her, and I wanted you guys to kind of know about her services in case you need her. Because and I like to say we have all these healers at the studio that are not um they're not the same. Even though we're all kind of energy healers, we all have our different techniques, we have our different approaches, our energies are just different. So it's not, so none of us are like in competition here. We are all like in collaboration, and we work with each other, and sometimes we inter-refer, like I might get somebody who I'm working with and they really would like some help with their animals, and I might send them over to Crystal. So I'm doing this series to kind of also get you guys introduced a little bit more to our community, so that if you need resources, we have them. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about what you do, Crystal. Can you give me a little rundown about what kind of services you typically offer?
Yeah, so I primarily do animal communication. I also have a lot of other certifications behind that. Reiki, intuitive healer through your energy awareness classes, oracle card reader. I also use crystals and stones in a lot of my sessions. Pretty much every session has some crystals or stones I bring with because they want to play too. But primarily, I do animal communication, and my sessions are more holistic with the person that's closest to the animal and the animal itself. So even though somebody might be having trouble with their pet, that pet might not be really as connected to that person who wants the session. So I might be working with another, like a child or another family member who's closer connected to that pet to try and heal any stagnant energy and blocks, behavior things that are coming up, ailments, because the energy system is clogged. So
Mm-hmm.
that's primarily what I do.
Yeah, well, and it's interesting to me sometimes working with animal energy, is that a lot of times the animals are carrying around their humans' problems.
Right.
And so you kind of have to be ready for that, right? I mean, sometimes you may be like, oh, my dog is so anxious. And then they find out, well, it's because you're so anxious and you're making the dog anxious, so be ready to hear those kinds of things, right? When you get
Yes.
an animal session.
Yes, absolutely. Sometimes messages can be a little tricky to get across because we don't always want to hear our own stuff. And
I
it's
know.
and it's a little hard to look at ourselves too and realize, oh, I'm actually the problem here.
Right, exactly. I know, especially when we're talking about, our pets. One of the things that I've sometimes noticed, see if you kind of resonate with this, is that sometimes though the pets also don't know themselves. Like sometimes they'll show me that they're like this big Great Dane thing, and they're really like this tiny Chihuahua.
Yes, exactly, for sure. And I see that a lot with trying to figure out gender. Some people are like, what kind of fish is this? What is the gender or the bird or something? And I'm like, well, to me, the energy looks more masculine or feminine, or sometimes they don't even relate to either. I've had that for sure. I have one of those myself.
Yep.
And I'm like, okay, well, you're just that. That's totally fine. So I don't necessarily stereotype anything as it's this or that. It's more general based, and it really, in the big scheme of things, it doesn't really matter.
Right. Of course.
I
Of
mean,
course.
if when it comes to like body parts and things like that, it does. If you have like medical conditions you're working with, like urinary infections and things like that, then you have to work with it that way. But as far as energy goes, it doesn't really matter.
Well, we just got a little comment in. Crystal's amazing. Would most definitely recommend her for animal communication. Thanks for
Thank
piping
you.
in, Linda. Um,
Thank you.
yeah, and I would agree. There's just been even just her coming over to visit my animal. So without it's helped kind of calm things down a bit. So tell me kind of, when would someone call you? Like what would be a reason to book a session with you?
Yeah, so the sooner the better. So when you start seeing things that are not in the typical norm of your daily routine with your pet, or you're just sensing something might be off, that's a really good time to schedule a session because then it's on the cusp of what's maybe diving in deeper. And it's a little bit easier to balance out the energy that way when you get it sooner rather than like hospital, you
So,
know, rather
oh,
than
so somebody could call you if their animal is sick?
yeah, they can, or behavior issues. I don't diagnose anything. I'm not a certified veterinarian, so I can't do that. But I can help clear the energy and balance the animal out and help balance the person out so that this stagnant energy doesn't get in deeper and create more problems that wouldn't be there if there wasn't a session done sooner.
Okay, okay. Well, and I just want to shout out to those of you who are watching with us live. If you have questions for Crystal, feel free to type them into the comment section. Or if you just have questions about energy healing or animal healing, feel free. But so do people typically come to you once? Do they come to you like all over and over? Like what is normally the pattern?
I don't really have a pattern. Sometimes if it's a new client and we still have more to work on, or they could benefit from more sessions, I'll suggest more sessions. I don't really have any set schedule. It's more based on I just let the person feel for when they want to do a session and go with that. Sometimes I'll say maybe if you want to schedule in a couple weeks, I'd recommend that. Um, but I don't really have a timeline. I just really base it up to the person and when they feel have a session. Regarding that, I will add that when you are seeing something that is off in your pet, definitely that's a good time to schedule. So,
Yeah, I might need to schedule. So, so you're working remote right now, right? You're just
yes.
virtually. Are you? So does one get on with you, or do you work remote and then give like a report? Like what does it look like to get in a session with you?
Yeah, so virtual sessions run the same as if I was in person. I'm just not in person. So I use all the same tools. I offer via Zoom, or we could do over the phone chat. Either one is fine. Sometimes, if I have stones that I would recommend that the pet is maybe calling for, or the person could benefit from, I would suggest that. And then I have a supplier where I can get really amazing stones from, and I could just order them for them and have them sent to them, or we can arrange pickup if they're local. But yeah, a session virtually is the same as in person, energetic wise. It's the same energy and all that. I'm just not there. And I ask lots and lots of questions just so that there's a lot of clarity because sometimes what I'm seeing visually from the pet might be a little bit different than the actual. So there's lots of questions asked to make sure we're on the same page of everything.
Awesome. So, okay, so we have a question here from Michaela. Hi, Michaela. So, a lot of it times animals hide their symptoms when feeling down or sick. What are some things to look for that you find people miss often?
Okay. So that is very true. The biggest thing, you could kind of see the subtle cues in them. Like maybe if they're not coming out as normal as often as they normally would, maybe if your kitty usually lays on your lap and you pet them and all of a sudden they don't want to be pet or they're meowing. Um, Unusually, or maybe all of a sudden your dog wants to go outside constantly all the time, or your cat is at the door wanting to go outside and they're usually indoor pets. All those little subtle cues are things to pick up on. Or if you have a horse and all of a sudden your horse is really anxious, that's not typical. That would be something to look into. Maybe you're off balance and they need you to get a little balance. It's a lot of the subtle things that we tend to brush aside and be like, oh, stop, or you're fine, or whatever. Those are the subtle things to pay attention to. And it's the guides are chiming in saying it's in your body as well, not just the animal. Your body is trying to tell you those things too that we very easily shove aside. Hopefully
Well,
that answers the question.
yeah, well, and I find too, I think the biggest thing that people miss is that their animal is withdrawing in some way, right? That's what
Yes.
you're saying with regards to not
Yes.
sitting on your lap or whatever. They are, and we're real busy people, right? So we might not even notice that they're withdrawing, but it's because it's subtle at first. But just kind of paying attention to the, you know, taking their energy back or getting more withdrawn inside themselves. It oftentimes means that they're having some sort of issue,
Yes.
whether it be energetic or be illness wise or whatever. The energetics sometimes too, I notice that there's a like you said, kind of feeling inside your body, the connection doesn't feel the same inside you when you're connecting with them. But these are things, you kind of have to be a little bit uh in tune with yourself to be able to pick these things up too. So
Yes. Yep. Yes, definitely.
real quick, I mean, we're going to talk more about this at another time, but you are going to be doing some classes for us. And one of them is going to be like a Crystal 101 class.
Yes, yes. I'm going to do a crystals 101 class. So we're going to learn the energetics of stones and crystals, how you can benefit using them on a daily basis for their energetic properties. The class is going to have a really super cool grid that's complementary with the class. I'm so excited about it. I have to show the stones because they're, I don't know.
Oh, there we go.
So there's
Is that tiger iron?
Tiger Ironheart, and Morganite,
Oh,
and
cool.
Apophyllite. Apophyllite comes in the
Mhm.
grid. Oh
Cool.
man. And green garnet. Oh my gosh, this is so beautiful. Very loving. So the grid is for abundance, protection, and love. Really supporting. It's a home grid that you get to take home, and you'll learn how to use the grid and how to charge the grid and how to cleanse your stones and program them for your daily life and use them out. And you can also use them for your animals too. I get requests from animals a lot on specific stones that they want to use. So it's really cool.
Nice. Nice.
Yes.
Yeah, well, and I have just enough knowledge to be dangerous regarding some of these things, and I'm really drawn to, of course, the most expensive stones that are ever available. I'm always like, oh, this one that's little tiny and $500. Whoa.
Yes.
But it's nice to just kind of get a general sense if you're just new dabbling to the crystal world, just to get a little bit of guidance on where to start and how to get the most out of what you're doing, because but like anything, it's an investment, so
Yes, and this is very much a beginner's class. So we're talking about stones that you can use on a daily basis that are easy to find, fairly reasonably priced, things like that.
mhm.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, is there anything else you want the people to know before we conclude our talk today?
Just follow your intuition and follow your feelings in your body of what you're sensing on a daily basis. Pay attention to those subtle cues. It's not only good for your pets and your animals, it's also good for yourself and your overall whole well-being. Really try not to ignore those things and really pay attention to them and trust your intuition, trust yourself.
Yes, yes. It's learning to listen to that intuition is always a forever game. But if you can't hear your intuition, you know where to go to hear your intuition.
Yes.
Crystal has some skills to help you out with. So, all right. Well, I appreciate your time, and I appreciate all of you guys who hung out with us during this time, or anybody who's watching later. Feel free, like I said, to give us some questions after the fact. We'll try to do our best to answer them, or we'll maybe have another day where we get online and talk to you guys. All right. With love, we'll see you around.
Bye.